In the United States, an estimated 900,000 prisoners are working daily jobs, but they lack the basic standards and protections normally afforded to the American labor force. Marina Portnaya, RT, Miami.
That's slave labor, right? Being run by private industry on behalf of our government. Being allowed to just, and our government said we're going to shut these down. Recently, the private prisons anyway. Doesn't mean that system is going to change. And I've heard many, many stories of people being withheld food. Right? We know the stories. We know the truth about this. It's a racket. It's wholly illegal. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting, and it breeds violence. It creates a system of the haves and the have-nots. You know, it's knuckle-dragger thinking. It's horrific. It's a sad testament to the status of our justice system, which is kind of stuck in the Middle Ages, really, in terms of what it believes justice should be. When you look at restorative justice and the properties of restorative justice, and what that means for a community, then you would have a prison system that exemplified restorative justice practices, and we do not. We have one that enslaves human beings, turns them into animals, and sets them out with no hope, really, of surviving in what we consider to be the civilized world.
And speaking of civilized world, I just went over and checked that website. Remember I mentioned it last weekend during our very dark show?
Yes.
About the website where it keeps a tally of the people that have been killed by police, and we were at 849 last Sunday, and this Sunday, as of this morning, we're at 868. And there's been a couple of high-profile ones in California last couple of days. Anyway, I don't want to go down that road. Just a little sanity check as we're talking about the state of our.
I hear you. Oh man, I have to write people.
Let's talk about Shadow World.
Let's talk about Shadow World.
Well, so somebody's asking about it too. They're wondering what is the distribution for this? Can people get it, download it, or whatever? And you mentioned something about that it's going to be available on the web. I've got that it's going to be in theaters, and it sounds like it's going to be both. So what do you know from the distributors?
Well, hang on. Are we on to that slide? We're on to that slide. Okay, great. So here's the deal. October 14th, digital download worldwide and in theaters. Okay. It's the distribution release, so it'll be available immediately on your cable channels, immediately on Amazon and all those places. You'll be able to find one of those, if you pay for one of those services. Right?
Great. Yeah. Someone's asking wants to do a watch party with it. Very impressed. Mike McCartney. Hi, Mike.
So listen, if somebody wants to do a watch party with it, I will let Trico Studios know, because I'm trying to convince them to do this. I said, let's do a national or a global watch party on this and have people invite friends over and find a way to do it, and maybe we could do a paywall and get donations or something, because I know they got to deal with all these legalities, and you can't just go blasting it out on the internet. They've got to recoup costs and finances and all that stuff, so we got to figure out how to work that out with YouTube, because we can't just go streaming this out on YouTube. I guarantee you we'll get shut down. One of the many echelons of corporate companies that is involved in this film, and it's ridiculous when you think about it. Tricos is just a distributor, but there's a lot of people. Anyway, yes, digital download all over. Yes, sit down and watch it with your family. It's not a happy film, but it is definitely a validating film in terms of anyone who was really just like, I think this is what's going on, but I'm not sure. To me, this was validating because it laid out so many things just in a nice, clean picture. I hadn't seen it laid out before. Scott, more experienced, had seen these things laid out or just had experienced them. Hey, I remember history. I remember that happening, right? My 90s were spent a little more drunk than Scott's. I guarantee it. So I don't remember much of what happened then. So I'm going to say that was me.
Well, for me, it was a huge revelation in terms of lots of different things. One of which was the relatively small group of players that has been in charge of our national security and national affairs for so many years. I mean, a lot of people think of Dick Cheney as, W's VP, but before that, he was defense secretary for Bush's father, and before that, he was involved with Reagan. And very much involved with the whole Iran-Contra thing. So he's a core figure going back decades in this whole mess.
Absolutely.
And we saw, and you see him in the background of a lot of things, and people talking about what's going on in the Middle East now. When I was in college and Reagan was president, it was all the Central America, Iran Contra deals, Nicaragua, El Salvador, and that type of thing. And those were our terrorists and rebels then.
Right.
But we only got to see a small portion of that, and then of course it all came out, and there was a scapegoat, and it just keeps going on. So that was that. But the small. When one of the guys points out, he was talking about the National Security League. It's a very small and very wealthy portion of our the plutocracy, the elite. People get moved from huge success in private sector over into the government, and then they become the salesmen for contractors on all their defense and other areas. And that was a little eye-opening for me to realize how few people have been running things for so long. Scott.
I bet Scott could show you. Here's the history of the circle of people in this industry, the Beltway. Whatever they call it. The DC circle of people. You used to see them go all over the place. I said it was no different than shuffling Catholic priests around. Right.
He was Armed Services Committee chair.
Mm-hmm.
And when he was in the House,
So he started off as a representative of some state somewhere, Wyoming, was that his hellhole that he lives in now? Yeah, that makes sense to me. Hillary was an aide to that one racist guy. Nobody seemed to care. Right?
I was a union worker during college.
Yeah.
Excusable? It's excusable. Bernie was off fighting the good fight, getting arrested. She was rising on the political ladder. Testament to.
From the other person who was an interesting thread was that Prince Bandar bin Sultan.
Oh yeah.
Who was the ambassador from Saudi Arabia to the United States from 83 to 2005, and he was in everything from Reagan and Thatcher. All the way up, through George Bush, and
no conflict of interest.
They go into him a lot. He's an interesting character.
Yeah.
So what I appreciated about the movie was just enormously well researched, well put together. Andrew in his interview pointed out that there's no hyperbole in here. Everything is, as Scott said, verifiable. It's happened. It's documented. They're not making it any more phantasmagorical than it is just on its own.
I guarantee you there is stuff in there that my dad would not have been aware of. And I guarantee you there is stuff in there that millennials would not be aware of. And that's what I love about this. And I thought the way he's put it together with the poetry, the scenery,
yes.
I've heard the story. Actually, just recently watched another history piece on the story of the World War I, Christmas Eve.
Right. The Russians and the Germans coming out on the field and dancing together on Christmas Eve. That gives you chills.
Yeah.
They go into that.
Yeah. I guarantee millennials don't know about that. They don't even remember World War I. My God, when did that happen? Was that,
It was the war to end all wars, remember?
Right. That was the first one. I forgot about that.
But yeah, beautifully done, poignant. The segments with Chris Hedges, I thought where he talks about his experience as a war correspondent and then being let go from his publication when he spoke out against the Iraq War. And you just look in his eyes when he talks, and that guy's seen some shit, And he'd been in the Middle East at that point for 7 years, and he talks about colleagues of his that have never been able to reconcile what they've seen with real life again. And it affects you.
Well, let's I get this card all set up and I do it right. Hang on. Here, look at me in my full set and all the crap behind the curtain.
Are you gonna play a clip?
I'm gonna play the clip. That's what I'm setting up. But I just want to set this up. This is the end. Because we've been talking about other stuff that's happened earlier in the interview. This is the end of the interview. And I just pushed this up earlier this morning or late last night. I don't know when I did it on the channel. If you haven't seen it, this is about 5 minutes. And I ask, because, okay, you guys know me. Last week I was threatening the lives of CEOs of companies, right? Because my anger is just, look, here's another piece of history. Go look at what we did at the Nuremberg trial. Killed some people. We said, you are a bad enough person, you just need to die, okay? Because of what you did to the world. I kind of believe in that. I'm sorry. I kind of believe in that. I don't believe in the death penalty in our current justice system because it is not a justice system. It does not treat people equally. But I do believe that when somebody is a mass murderer, a killer of planet, right, that they should be killed. I do believe that. I don't know that there's any reconciliation that can happen, but I also believe in restorative justice. So I'm a big, fat hypocrite because I bounce back and forth between these all the time. I struggle with this, and I actually think a lot of human beings struggle with that, with the idea of violence over nonviolence. And I asked Andrew point blank, because you got to understand, Andrew Feinstein came out of the apartheid Congress, right? He served under Nelson Mandela. They instituted restorative justice in South Africa because they knew they needed to heal their nation. They knew they needed to do it in a nonviolent way. And for the most part, well, you'll hear Andrew talk about it. I'll let Andrew talk about it. But this was beautiful when I asked him if we can win without violence. Connection and about separation. And I just want to ask you this, as we move forward, and you see what's going on, we've got a potential disaster with one of these two people becoming an American president, but do you see the 99% globally being able to overtake the beast in the cave, the military-industrial complex, the global arms machine for this small group of elites, right? And I say small vaguely because I really don't know how many people are involved in this game. It's probably a hell of a lot more people than I know. But do you see us being able to do this peacefully with the love that we talk about in a Bernie Sanders, Jeremy Corbyn kind of way, or are we going to have to get down and dirty violent?
You know, I was brought up in a country where I was privileged because I happened to have a light skin. 87% of the population of South Africa was oppressed because of the color of their skin.
Right.
If you had told me in the late 1980s that within 6 years South Africa would be free, my party, the ANC, would lead a democratically elected government, Nelson Mandela would be out of prison and would be president of this country, I would have suggested a straitjacket was needed.
Yeah.
5 years later, I was elected to Parliament as a representative of that party, serving under Nelson Mandela. Yes, the country, of course, it has problems, as does every country.
Right.
But a political miracle happened in South Africa. And on the whole, it happened non-violently.
Yeah.
And that, for me, from my own personal experience, is a model of hope and a model that says to me, ultimately, historically, if enough people simply think about these issues and decide what it is they really want, change of the status quo is inevitable. And I honestly believe that. Look at the rise of a Bernie Sanders.
Absolutely.
Today, as we talk, Jeremy Corbyn is leader of the second biggest political party in the United Kingdom, the Labour Party.
Right.
At the party's conference just 3 days ago, he promised that when the party comes to power, he will end arms sales to Saudi Arabia and all other human rights abusing regimes.
That's huge.
The Labour Party today has 500,000 paid-up members, and that is growing, making it the largest political party in the world. 13 million Americans voted for Bernie Sanders in a primary election of a party to which he didn't belong.
And he didn't have control of. That was rigging the game.
Absolutely.
Imagine where he would have been had they not been rigging the game. You know?
These are all indications that many, many people are not satisfied with their lot. Right? They're not satisfied with the fact that they've got to work 2 or 3 jobs to keep food on the table, to keep a roof over there and their children's heads. Because these are the really important things that matter.
Right.
To ensure that our children are comfortable, they get a good education, that they have the best opportunities in life regardless of their backgrounds. And what we're doing through this film is we're trying to show this to people. We're saying to them, you might not have been aware of this, but now we're putting the facts before you.
Yeah.
And boy, do we get our facts right. That's why the book has almost 3,000 footnotes. And that's why everything that is in the film has been verified. And then we say to people, now it's up to you, and here are things that you can do to change this situation.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm really excited about what we're going to be doing in the States in a couple of weeks' time. I'm off to a screening here in London where hopefully another full house of people are going to walk out of the cinema and they're going to say, yes, we can.
Yes.
But yes, we can really change the way our world functions.
All right. Awesome words of wisdom from Andrew Feinstein. Comment?
I highly recommend that interview if people haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Especially after seeing him in the film, just to be able to just talk to him and ask him questions, and he was so forthcoming and so eloquent. So yeah, people, I'll put the link to it in chat.
And I just actually, if you guys didn't catch it, yeah, thank you, Laura, for doing that. What he said, just think about this: 6 years. 6 years. South Africa went from what it was to what it became. Nelson Mandela was in prison. Then he was leading the country. Andrew Feinstein was fighting an oppressive regime, a racist, oppressive regime. And then he was a member of parliament. 6 years. It sounds like a lot of time. But if you had told him, as he said back then, that it was going to happen, he would have said, you're full of shit, straitjacket. Think about that. When we talk about a strategy, when we talk about what we need to do to fight the establishment, to retake our government, to put back democracy, 6 years is not a lot of time. They had 60 plus years to take our power away. We're not going to take it back in a year. Right. So I just want to, Scott, you have any words of wisdom?
Yeah, they had leaders that were showed amazing restraint. I remember seeing Desmond Tutu and Alan Bosak at the National Cathedral while Mandela was still in prison, and they were talking about reconciliation. They weren't talking about a violent overthrow of apartheid. They were while Mandela was in prison, they were already talking about how the country was going to come together. And
wow, that's a big statement. That's a big statement right there, because it's like, no offense, but that's the kind of thinking and statementship we need out of Hillary right now. Not calling people basement dwellers, but I'm just saying there's some divisive conversation happening all around, and that's an interesting example. I mean, their leader was in prison, right? Ours just got frauded out of an election at Bernie, right? At least he's not in prison. That would be bad times.
Oh my God!
Right? It could happen. It could happen. We're not quite there yet. We're arresting journalists for reporting the truth, but we're not quite there to arresting good politicians. We need to start arresting some bad ones first.
Perfect segue to our next slide.
It is. It is.
Do that.
Let me pull this up, guys. We can't. This is how long it takes me to go between the different things. I'm not done yet. I'm an old man. There's this slide. Okay. You're
the youngest of the three of us, dear.
That's true. But I'm the oldest and crankiest inside. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's just
you have the.
Okay. This Lee Camp, awesome guy. has created a cleanmoneycandidates.org. I don't have that link up, but that's okay. We're going to watch. I do have his video up here, I believe. We're going to, yeah, I do. We're going to play that. So this is, what this is a website that shows you good candidates and bad candidates in the realm of, do they take money from private interests, from big corporations? Are they on the take? Are they part of the establishment money wheel? Or are they working for the people? They're taking small donations. You can go to cleanmoneycandidates.org and see all the details, but let's just let Lee talk about it right now. And he's got the perfect intro on this.
So how do we stop this? Well, there's a variety of ways, some of which I've talked about before, like amendments to the Constitution or public financing. But then there's another one I came up with recently. What if there were a clean money candidate certification for politicians who aren't bought by corporate money? It would be a nonpartisan badge. Any candidate could get, any candidate, even a Republican, if you found one who wasn't taking corporate money. But that's like finding a suicidal butterfly. You know, you can't be deeply depressed and be a butterfly. No way. So with the help of an awesome all-volunteer team, we did it. We just launched an early version, cleanmoneycandidates.org. It exists. You can go there. You can sign up for free to be alerted as we continue to add clean money candidates to our list, and also as we out the politicians who are completely bought off. You can help us spread the word and follow us on Twitter at @CleanCandidate. It's a work in progress. We're starting small, but I know what you're thinking. I will not support anything that is not loved by at least a couple of Hollywood's finest. All right? The celebrities are the ones who tell me what to think, good sir. Well, if you insist, if they're willing to say I'm not taking corporate money or super PAC money, they get the certification, and then we'll get it to the point where not having the certification is like a scarlet letter that chases you around.
I love that idea. I think it's a fantastic idea.
So it'd just be like a clean money badge that they get.
That's a great idea.
Thank you, I'm very smart.
Yeah, you are. You're pretty smart.
I don't know how to talk to women. I'm really smart. Oh, God. Point is, it's time we take our democracy back from the corporate totalitarian state. And Clean Money Candidates is one step in that process. Soon no one will dream of voting for a candidate who doesn't have the Clean Money certification. Or at least that's what I tell myself so I can sleep at night. Well, that and I watch this video at least a dozen times.
Hey guys, this is Naomi Caravani from Redacted.
Okay. CleanMoneyCandidate.org. I think it's a good idea. And there's lots of other systems being created that do things to try to bring accountability to our politicians, and I think that is probably where we are going to beat the establishment, and they don't realize it yet, is that we are going to create technologies and use them to organize and to get rid of politicians that don't do what we want. And our government may be stuck in the 19th century, but we don't have to be as people. So I like that. I think that's good. Hey, you guys think that's cool?
Yeah.
Does it already exist, Scott?
Hey, well, what's clean money though?
I don't know. We'll have to go. I don't know. We'll have to go read what they're.
He lists it out. It's got a whole list in the article of what that means.
All right. I probably should have read that. My bad.
Well, hold on.
I was hoping for.
Well, you want me to read it out? There's three main things. So,
right.
Raise more than 40% of campaign funds from small donors,
Okay.
meaning $200 or less.
Great.
Receive 5% or less of their total campaign contributions from corporate political action committees,
All right.
also known as PACs, and are dedicated to overturning Citizens United and getting big money and corporate money out of politics. Those are the parameters to be a clean money candidate.
That's pretty. I don't know. What do you think of that, Scott? Does that meet your standards? We got to run everything by Scott. He's our only true political guy, right? Like what just tells us whether it matters or not. I think those are good criteria. Simple. It's not a long list.
If you keep it simple.
How many candidates are on there, Laura?
He's got a good hand. I'm just looking at the text here. Hold on. I'll drop this link in chat so you guys can all
Okay, cool.
see that for yourselves.
Well,
Yeah, I think this is a good segue to our next to break it down Scott.
it is actually. Ready? There it is. This is Break It Down Scott. And Scott, today we are breaking down. Well, we can sue Saudi Arabia now. New law that would allow the families of those killed in the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks to sue Saudi Arabia for any role in the plot. Congress votes to override Obama veto on 9/11 victims bill. That's what I think is kind of cool. And then they have Loretta Lynch there, request for immunity, because that's the way things roll in our corrupt government these days. What do you think of this, Scott? Good idea? Bad idea?
How dare them let private citizens sue governments? It's okay for corporations to sue governments. That's what the trade deals are all about. They have no problem with that. But
Okay. So trade deals allow corporations to sue governments, but private citizens, we're not allowed to sue our own employees.
right.
So this is the deal that there's another Lee Camp clip in here that because he did a bit about this back when it was originally going before Congress back like 5-6 months ago about what a bad idea this would be if you think of it in the reverse. It's like, okay, we're saying that victims of 9/11 can now sue Saudi Arabia directly. Right?
Right.
And
Right.
so when Lee, if you can tee that up, if you don't mind playing that, because
I don't have it. I don't have that up.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. No, I didn't have that. I didn't have that pulled. Honestly, I don't have the link either. It's not.
Okay, I'm going to put it in.
Yeah.
I'll put it in chat right now so people can look at it themselves later. But anyway, the thing is that he points out is that sets the precedence for countries to sue us for the same type of damages that we have done to them, and he just goes into this long litany going back to 1953 Iran of all the different countries that might have issue with things that we have done to them.
Yeah, it's a funny
in
bit.
his usual way. We don't need to watch it now. We've got lots of videos going.
We played it. I played it on the newsroom. There was a newsroom months ago when it came out.
Yeah.
I played it on, guys. It's really, really fun. But I think Scott is saying, and I'm also agreeing with, that, look, if we're going to start, I think what the point of Lee's thing is that if we're going to start allowing this lawsuit to happen, that opens up the doors for all the other atrocities the United States has committed in the name of freedom and war. Right? Right, Scott? That's the point, right? Release the Kraken of legal shit on the United States of America.
And we use the world court when we want to go after countries.
We do?
Yeah.
Oh. So,
For like war crimes or financial things or what?
we're too clean. We're too clean and white. We don't do anything wrong. We're the bearers of freedom and democracy. We're above that. Not anymore. Not anymore. I can't believe that
The world court come to the U.S., we ignore them. We want them to go after other countries' leaders. We support it.
Right. So why would our Congress, why would our current establishment Congress veto Obama and let this go through? Why?
That was interesting. That was an interesting point to me because the Congress voted for it, Obama vetoed it, now they're overriding it. And how often does that happen, Scott?
Overrides don't happen that much. They were able to get enough Democrats.
But that's what I can't. I mean, like, really? the establishment Democrats are okay with bringing lawsuit down. I would think they'd want to be protecting their own asses too. They're involved in the global arms trade. I'm surprised. I'm glad. I'm happy. This is our government, like, doing one for the people, oddly enough.
But don't you think we should be taking care of our own people who were victims of 9/11? You get folks who can't get health care or whatever. Why can't we take care of our own people?
Sure, but that's a separate piece of legislation, boy. That's a whole other piece of legislation.
Saudi Arabia. It's like, what? That just doesn't make sense to me.
It's our money anyway.
It is a little more complicated than... Because what Saudi Arabia and other countries are kind of objecting is that there shouldn't be cases in U.S. courts concerning other countries. That's what they're saying. They don't want Saudi Arabia to... In Saudi Arabia, they could be suing Americans with Saudi judges and stuff.
Right.
But, I guess there is... There's somewhat of a point to it. You got different legal systems colliding and contradicting each other, and different laws, different...
Sure do.
Standards.
You sure do. It's a big mess. I think it's great. Open the floodgates. Sue away. It seems to me that lawsuits are the only way we make any headway with our government right now. The kids are making headway on climate change against the government with lawsuits. We can't seem to make any headway otherwise. Why not? Maybe lawyers will be the savior of the planet, because we'll freeze everything up with legal bullshit.
Okay, Patricia really wants us to mention Section 5. And Patricia, what is Section 5? I'm going to have to scroll back up and see what you're saying.
Thank you, because I was about to say hi to everybody. You guys are
she said, John, check Section 5. The court in America can delay it for 140 days in perpetuity.
Delay what? I'm sorry.
I'm not sure. I have to go back. Section 5.
Lost. I'm lost. I'm sorry. Scott, you know what you're talking about?
I am too. Do you know anything about Section 5?
Everything froze for me for a bit there.
Scott, okay. And the only section I can think of government-wise is Section 8 because of MASH. So I have no idea on what she's talking about. I know
no one will ever be able to sue because of Section 5.
Oh, no one will ever be able to sue because of Section 5.
Okay. Thank you, Patricia. She's going to put it all caps so I can see it.
So Congress could have passed it because they know
sense that our countries would rather have there be some kind of international court than be able to sue in U.S. courts and affect their countries. I think that's more where the issue is.
Say that again?
Why the Saudis are thinking, why should U.S. courts have any jurisdiction over them?
Oh.
That's kind of where the argument is.
Okay.
Well, this is starting to sound like that argument in Life of Brian where, but you've got the right to do it, but they can't really do it.
Yeah.
But we argue that you have the right to do it.
It does sound a little
that.
There should be another venue, an international court, where you deal with suing Saudi Arabia, not suing in the U.S. courts.
Right.
Okay. I can see that. But we don't like it that way. We call the shots anyway, so it doesn't really matter. We're gonna do what we want. All right, let's just take a moment to thank our broadcast partners because it's kind of middle of the show, everybody. LiveView. If it wasn't for LiveView, we wouldn't be doing a lot of things. We've got a lot of streaming events coming up in October, and I want to thank them very much for that. And reader-supported news, which is where Scott puts his great articles. Go over there, guys, and show them some love and help them out because we need our independent articles, journalists, and papers to produce content that is contrary to the corporate media propaganda. Switchboard Live, which lets us distribute this to a lot of different places at the same time. Really appreciate all the help they've done with technology. And our news gleaners, first host Jupiter Judy, Laura Livengood, Lynn Vermont, Purple Tulip, and whoever else is in there now. Thank you guys so much. There's been a lot of new activity, so thank you all. What's the next slide? Buy a fig tree, be a patron. If you want to help keep the lights on, this is the way we're doing it these days, guys. Patreon.com/John Ellis. If you want to contact me about anything going on for like a live streaming event, if you're a non-profit organization, or if you're somebody in the political revolution who's got an event going on and you want to try to get a live stream for it, contact me at info@bernie2016.tv, and we'll see what we can do. This is what we're here for. There you go. That's the whole thing. What's next? What's next?
Fracking off.
Fracking off.
We got a lot here today.
Yeah, we do. So this is, I said we were going to, so we did serious stuff, and now this is more serious stuff because it's the climate. And unfortunately these days there's not a lot of good to tell you about the climate. Matter of fact, right now isn't Hurricane Matthew about to pound somewhere?
Haiti and Jamaica.
Haiti and Jamaica is a Category 4, right? It dropped down 1. That'll make it better. Sure, it'll be better that way. But what we're going to talk about is water. We talk about water. So Florida's getting too much water, and California doesn't have enough water. That's called climate change. Right? And what's happening, unfortunately, is that the farmers in the San Joaquin Valley are drilling more wells because they have no choice. And Governor Jerry Brown signed the bill designed to limit groundwater pumping 2 years ago. And farmers last year dug 2,500 wells, which is absolutely insane. Central California is becoming a holy land. You can see the difference there. See the graph? I don't really have to say any much. The big, gigantic bar at the end is quite different from the other two bars, which are also very different from the averages when you go back many, many, many years. So you can see an acceleration there. Same kind of graph we see on the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. I'm just going to say there's a lot of graphs these days that look like that. The earthquake graph, the carbon dioxide graph, the well graph. How many more of these do we need to look at, folks, before we realize we're in a climate crisis? We need a mobilization, a World War II style mobilization. I don't know what it's going to take. Fire on the doorstep, flood in the kitchen, which is happening as more and more Americans have this. What's happening, here's the thing with the farmers doing this. And here's the different counties and the amount of wells they're drilling. They're having to drill deeper and deeper wells. And when they have to do that, they get down into the think about this. So they're fracking all over California. Fracking wells and the wastewater from fracking wells, they put down really, really deep. And they say this is why we don't affect groundwater, which is bullshit, because we just had numerous study after study after study come out showing that the fracking wastewater contaminates ground table water, because when you drill a hole through the ground, you have to go through the ground table water here down to put your nasty shit down here. And guess what? Stuff leaks when you make a hole through your water container. It's just kind of a basic principle there. 5-year-old can get it, but the oil industry insists that it's safe. All the studies show that it's not. So we've got contaminated water level, okay, water basins. We've got farmers drilling deeper to tap less and less water that is moving less. They've actually had areas where the water was contaminated. The water was, it just wasn't moving enough. Groundwater moves very slowly. And so this is happening now. And we're just beginning the 10-year, we've got 10 years, folks. The new data shows we've got about 10 years to get our shit together. 17 to divest completely from oil, but 10 years to really move towards renewables. We're going to see 1.7 degrees Celsius above norm in 10 years. We're at 0.8 now, almost to 1. And this is where we sit with water in California. This is where we sit with how hot and how dry, right? And how wet. If you go the other direction to Florida, things are going to look a lot worse next year and the year after and the year after. It's not going to get better. Right? That's the harsh news. Bill McKibben, Bill McKibben is going to tell us exactly that. I should have said this at the beginning. We've got 45 minutes left to go in this. But I think it's so important that we run this clip. This is a 10-minute long clip, so it's a little long. Go get a cup of coffee, or if it's later in the day for you, a beer or whatever you want. Get something to eat, relax, kick back. We're going to watch this video on Democracy Now! Bill McKibben talking about the reality of the climate crisis and the World War II style mobilization that we have to get our ass in gear on. And I love the fact that he's using that terminology, because we started working with the climate mobilization, and they were some of the first people to use that language. And I remember when we were working with them during the Bernie campaign in the heat of it, and they were like, we just want to get Bernie to say World War II style mobilization, and he did, whether they had anything to do with it or we had anything to do with it or not. It was really cool that in one of the debates he used that terminology, and it was really grabbed onto. I was so glad he said it, and now Bill McKibben is using that language. This is Juan Gonzalez talking with Bill McKibben, because we've passed that 400 part per million milestone. We passed it last year, actually, but now it's absolutely set in stone. We will never come back down from that, folks. Not in my lifetime. That's a sad statement to make. So let's watch this Democracy Now! Together and get motivated, saving our planet.
This year may be only half over, but 2016 is already on track to be the hottest year ever on record. In the midst of this, during the first presidential debate on Monday, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump and his Democratic rival Hillary Clinton sparred briefly over climate change.
Take clean energy. Some country is going to be the clean energy superpower of the 21st century. Donald thinks that climate change is a hoax perpetrated by the Chinese. I think it's real.
I do not.
Science is real.
I do not say that.
And I think it's important that we grip this and deal with it, both at home and abroad.
Clinton was referring to a tweet Trump sent in 2012 in which he wrote, quote, "The concept of global warming was created by and for the Chinese in order to make U.S. manufacturing non-competitive." Trump later said he meant it as a joke, yet he has continued to suggest climate change is some sort of hoax. His comments were highlighted this week in a new TV ad produced by the Sierra Club.
All of this with the global warming and that, a lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. I mean, it's a money-making industry, okay?
They said that you called climate change a hoax. Is that true?
Well, I might have. I believe that climate change is not man-made. We're going to cancel the Paris Climate Agreement. Our president is worried about global warming. What a ridiculous situation.
That's right. Donald Trump has said that if he is elected, he will weaken the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, abolish President Obama's Clean Power Plan, promote fossil fuel exploration, and recruit oil and gas executives to lead his cabinet. Well, our next guest writes in the New Republic about, quote, a world at war. We are under attack from climate change, and our only hope is to mobilize like we did in World War II. Quote, day after day, week after week, saboteurs behind our lines are unleashing a series of brilliant and overwhelming attacks. In the past few months alone, our foes have used a firestorm to force the total evacuation of a city of 90,000 in Canada, drought to ravage crops to the point where Southern Africans are literally eating their seed corn, and floods to threaten the priceless repository of art in the Louvre.
Our guest goes on to write, the enemy is even deploying biological weapons to spread psychological terror. The Zika virus, loaded like a bomb into a growing army of mosquitoes, has shrunk the heads of newborn babies across an entire continent. Panicked health ministers in 7 countries are now urging women not to get pregnant. And as in all conflicts, millions of refugees are fleeing the horrors of war, their numbers swelling daily as they're forced to abandon their homes to escape famine and desolation and disease. World War III is well and truly underway, and we are losing. Those are the words of Bill McKibben, who joins us today in our New York studio, co-founder of 350.org, author of a number of books, including Earth, Making a Life on a Tough New Planet. His other new piece in the New Republic is headlined, Recalculating the Climate Math. Bill, welcome back to Democracy Now!
Well, it's good to be here.
So, you just heard the clip from the first presidential debate. You are certainly escalating the discussion about where climate change needs to fit into this. Talk about what the candidates have said and what you think actually needs to happen.
Well, the context is July and August were the two hottest months we've ever measured on this planet. And in fact, the scientists who look at the proxy records from before we had thermometers tell us that July and August were probably the two hottest months in the history of human civilization. Against that backdrop, to see a buffoon like Trump, playing games with climate change is sobering. But it's also sobering to realize that, none of our political leaders have said what we need to do on the scale we need to do it. If we're going to have a chance of dealing with climate change, it means mobilizing in ways that we haven't in a very long time. And one of the points of writing this first piece for the New Republic this year was to demonstrate that at least that was possible. If you go look at how America mobilized during World War II, the industrial might that we brought to bear, and then you do the calculations, it's at the outside edge of possible that we could, in the short time that we have, build enough solar panels and wind turbines. But it's going to take the same kind of focused effort.
But your use of the analogy of war for a country that is involved in war at the drop of a hat, war on terrorism, war on poverty, war on drugs, yes, and not to mention all the shooting wars as well, the actual wars. Your decision to use that analogy.
So the point in this case was that, the war on drugs is a completely phony idea, right? It's just a way of justifying all sorts of bad ideas. In this case, it's not that we need to go to war with climate change, it's that we're under siege. By all the measures by which one thinks about warfare, we're in one. We're losing territory all the time. There are literally islands disappearing. We've lost huge swaths of the coral in the world this year alone. A wave of warm water swept across the Pacific and the Indian Ocean. In many places, 80-90% of coral died in a matter of weeks. These atolls that have been there forever in the Arctic. Ice that's been there for millennia upon millennia is now gone. The world looks entirely different from a satellite now than it did 30 years ago. So the question is not whether or not we're in a conflict. The question is whether or not we're going to fight it, or whether we're going to keep listening to the Exxons of the world and do nothing.
So in this piece you do, recalculating the climate math, the numbers on global warming are even scarier than we thought. What shocked you most? Go through those numbers.
This comes from a remarkable report from a group called Oil Change International in New York. And you'll remember that a few years ago we talked about the sort of new climate math that launched the fossil fuel divestment movement. At that time, what we understood was that the world's fossil fuel industry had far too much carbon in its reserves, 5 times as much as we could afford to burn. What this new study indicates, and it's important to kind of get this, is that the coal mines and oil and gas fields that we already have in production have enough carbon in them to take us past the 2-degree mark that the UN has set as the line for catastrophe. That is, there's nothing about the future anymore. We literally can't build anything else and stay within those limits. No Dakota pipeline, no new coal mines in Australia, none of the things that our political leaders, Justin Trudeau in Canada 2 days ago green-lighted a massive LNG project on the British Columbia coast. In the light of this new climate data, it's completely clear that these things we just can't do. We can drain most of what's in the fields that we've already got in production. But as that dwindles, we have to be replacing it day by day with renewable energy instead.
And how do you feel in terms of the amount of time devoted to the issue of climate change in all of the debates previously on the Democrats and Republicans, and now in the first actual presidential debate?
In the course of the whole debate season, by far the high point was when the senator from my home state of Vermont stood up and someone asked him at one of the debates, what's the most important challenge facing the world? And he said, climate change. And 2 weeks later at the next debate, after all the editorialists had tutted about how he should have said it was terrorism or something, they asked him again, and he said it again. Okay? That's a good sign that he's the most popular politician in America. But it hasn't yet fully filtered down into the Clinton campaign, and certainly not the Trump campaign. The Democratic platform is very, very good on these issues. One hopes that if Miss Clinton is elected, we'll be able to press her to try and live up to that platform.
You weren't feeling as encouraged when you served on the Democratic Platform Committee, and you described this in your piece. Explain what happened, what you were calling for, and what ultimately...
I was depressed halfway through, because on the Platform Committee, which Bernie had asked me to serve on, we took a series of votes, and we lost 7-6, on sort of party line votes on all sorts of things. But then Bernie refused to concede. He didn't back down. He didn't do what everyone told him he should do. He kept in the race through the final meeting about the platform in Orlando 2 weeks before the convention. And he did that in order to ensure that he'd have leverage in those discussions. That's what it's not like 8 years ago when what Hillary Clinton wanted was for Barack Obama to pay off her campaign debt. What he wanted was progress on the issues. And as a result, by staring them down, the platform at the last minute turned markedly more progressive. Among other things, there's a call in there for an emergency climate summit within the first 100 days of a new administration, designed to, and it says this in the platform, mobilize us for something like a World War II approach to climate change. We'll see if we can hold them to it. Clearly, it will take hundreds of thousands of people in the street, just like there were in New York 2 years ago this month.
We're going to go to break, and then we're going to come back to this discussion with Bill McKibben, co-founder of 350.org, author of 2 pieces in the New Republic, most recently Recalculating the Climate Math and A World at War.
All right, that's a good place to stop. I love Bill McKibben. He just, no bullshit. He calls it like it is. We lost Scott, everybody. I just got to tell you. His internet is down, and he just contacted me via phone and said, internet's down, sorry, this is what you get when you don't have a government that invests in your infrastructure and chooses to buy F-35s instead. And F-35s do not help the internet at all. For the record, they do nothing. Give me a chance to reset some cameras here and we'll get Laura set on that. Nobody wants to see that shot. That's a bad shot. There we go. There we go, everybody. So it's Rhea and Laura. You got us. I don't have Scott to come back in and talk about that. Scott's a big fan of Bill McKibben, too. As a matter of fact, one of the first things that we live streamed with Scott, I don't know if you saw this, Laura, because I know you've been around a long time, was a Bill McKibben talking on behalf of Bernie Sanders. Way back. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Right before my time.
Yeah. How's the crowd? How's everybody doing in the audience?
25 people. Hey,
hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here with our new show. I know it's what are we on, episode 3? Just 3 or 4?
4.
4? Holy shit, that's 4.
Is it?
Yeah. I'm gonna. All right. So anyway, Bill, he said a couple things that I think are really strong, and I just want to hit on this because I don't have Scott to pound back against it. But I just want to say this, Laura. Did you catch it? He said the statements that Bernie made hadn't quite reached, I didn't know what his words were, his little, trickled down to the Trump campaign or the Clinton campaign. And he did talk about I didn't know about that in the first 100 days. No,
I think that was something that came out of the DNC when they were doing the platform committee, and that the group like Josh Fox and co were instrumental in getting that plank in the platform. We'll see.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I think that's great. I think this is, again, another opportunity where the more Bernie-crats we install in government, federally, state-wise, right, these kinds of things have more power that way. We show up, we're like, look, this is a summit on climate change. We need all the idiots in Congress who are, either working for the fossil fuel industry or just don't get it, don't recognize that we've got the window has been given. Right? I mean, I don't know if you know that. The scientists have said, here's your window, folks. Right? Go ahead and disagree with us. You've already challenged our other, math, right? And here we sit. We've got 20 years. If we don't get our shit...
to the next slide. Perfect segue to the next slide.
Oh, is that what the next slide is? Hang on. Get it. I'm ready. Yeah, it is. Okay. If 20 years. An oil industry report shows that we have 17 years. I say 20 to be nice. We have 17 years to divest from fossil fuels, or the Earth will reach a point. There will be so much carbon and shit in the air that we will go past. Who knows? And this next slide, which I gotta see, Laura, I gotta go over here and I gotta do the change on the thing, and there we go. All right. Now, here we go. This next slide really, really brings it home in something that isn't even being discussed. And I'm going to do my best to kind of explain this. The film The Last Hours describes a science-based climate scenario where a tipping point to runaway climate change is triggered by a massive releases of frozen methane. I am going to do my best to describe this. We're not going to watch the video because we're at 10:30 here. It's an 11-minute video, and I want to run some other things. But I urge you all to go to the slideshow, tss.politicalrevolution.tv. Go to this slide. It's slide number 20. All right? And click on the link. Go to the video called The Last Hours and watch this video. We are at the end of an era, literally. And I say that because we are in the Holocene era, or we were. We are currently transitioning out of the Holocene era, and we caused it. Anthropomorphic climate change caused the end of the Holocene, a rather peaceful, the most peaceful environmental era in the history of this planet. We destroyed that era. We have brought about the sixth great extinction, where we're going to lose at least 1/3, probably more, species, and that's already happening. That's already happening. All right. What this describes is what happened the last time things went crazy. And here's the deal. Everybody talks about, well, climate change is we're going to increase by this much and increase by this much. And what the sad thing is that when news reports the math on climate change, they talk about it like it is just a straight line. Like it's going to be a consistent change, like it doesn't vary and nothing will ever affect it. So, we've got this nice straight line of time to deal with, so we can screw off now, but in 10 years we're really going to be pressed for time. And that's absolutely not what's happening. We're going to reach a breaking point of temperature. And what happened the last time was the oceans were warm enough at about 2 degrees, 2.5, 3, inching up there. It broke, and methane started bubbling out of frozen locked deposits in oceans, in ice. Now, the methane's already starting to do this now. Siberia is just opening up with massive sinkholes because the permafrost is melting, because temperatures there are warmer than they've ever been. Right? We are seeing a massive release of methane, but when it reaches a certain point, it's going to start going faster and faster and faster and faster. And the last time this happened, they got to 6 degrees Celsius above norm, and the Earth was really not a good place. Not a good place. That's what this is talking about here. So don't fool yourself into thinking that it's going to continue to just go gradually, and that's why we have a very short window to act. We don't act. No habitable planet. It's in my lifetime, in Laura's lifetime, in Scott's lifetime, your lifetimes, my dad's lifetime. My dad's 75 this year. In 10 years, I hope he's still alive, and at 85, he will see this planet wreak environmental horror on humankind. He doesn't think so. He and I talk about it. I don't want to scare him. Dad. It was like, Dad, you need to consider where you live. He lives in Colorado. Now, he does live in Longmont, which is good. But he does live in an area of the country that's going to turn into a desert. Colorado is going to be an uninhabitable desert. But our revolution continues.
Oh, let me give you a little bit more about the film.
Please.
It's presented by Tom Hartman, is the presenter in the movie, and it's narrated by Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, great. Okay, so maybe we'll plan another time to watch that, because it's really good. We had too much going on this time, but that's cool. I didn't know. Hang on, I got a message. Where are you? There you go. Ding. There we go. All right, so we're going to move into our revolution continues, everybody. How's the audience? How you doing? Walter returned?
25, they're talking about all kinds of things. Sorry, guys, I'm not pulling much out of chat, so if I missed a question, please add it again.
We're still trying to get this flow going for the show. Thank you all for being here, and I really do want to engage more with you in the audience. The best way to do that is to go to the slides.politicalrevolution.tv. As a matter of fact, let me see. I'll pull up some of those right now. We got a few minutes.
Oh yeah, answer some questions. Okay.
Here's and I'm going to run these. Wow, you guys have been dropping a lot of stuff in here.
We should look at it.
Except it's not. There we go. Okay. Here. This is from the Unintended Cast, Karastana. In response to what makes a clean money candidate, not accepting campaign contributions from big money, such as the fossil fuel industry, big pharma, big banks. Hillary has accepted contributions from big money interests. We're well aware. As a result, she cannot say she is going to get money out of politics in a way that holds weight with the public. Hillary must lead by example, not play the game of follow. I agree. I absolutely agree. I don't know. There's nothing coming out of Hillary's mouth these days that I like, really. I don't know. This is a great question. Has she spoken out about the Dakota Access Pipeline? Where does she stand? My guess is she doesn't stand anywhere. Do you know?
Crickets. Nothing.
Crickets? She's not going to do that because she's fighting against people that have already given her money. That's the thing. It's like, she can't say I'm against it because a lot of people are like, I gave you a couple $1 million to make sure it happens. You know, when you know, we all know that she is not trustworthy. We all know that she is not honest. We are faced with a very, very difficult challenge right now. And we were talking earlier about why vote for Jill Stein over Hillary, over whoever you're going to vote for, and what does it matter, and the purpose of the vote. And I just want to say this. If you need a reason, think about the beginning of what Juan Gonzalez said. Donald Trump, what did he say? Donald Trump has already said that he would destroy the EPA. Not that they're doing much anyway. They're the Establishment Protection Agency these days anyway. But he would get rid of them completely, which would just get rid of all regulation. He said he would kill the Paris Climate Agreement. He would open up, expand on oil drilling. Hillary, even though we don't trust her, she's bound by the agreements that the Democratic Party have set forth. Right? She's bound by all that crap, that political crap that we just fought so hard for. I don't even know how else to explain it, right, Laura? It's just, we fought for that power, and now we brought that power to the table, and she has no choice but to honor that power. It's really very, it's really Middle Ages. It really kind of is. Power plays between groups of people. It's really sad that we just kind of, everybody wears suits and ties, but it's still the same bullshit, you know? And we brought our power to the table. Those of you who say she can't be trusted, she won't do what we have to say, we don't believe her. Absolutely, I agree. But we just saw what happens when the president doesn't do what the Congress says to do, right? Obama vetoed the Saudi Arabia lawsuit, and Congress said, going through, my friend, you're one person, we're 535, we say this is happening, going through. That's how it works. We have to put those people in power, because Hillary has the veto, and Hillary's face will be on the screen a lot, and that will be annoying for many of us. But the power resides in the House and the Senate. Right?
And the people behind her that support her and who she is beholden to. She is their chosen figurehead, but she is not the one who's running things.
That's a good statement. Who she's beholden to. And do you know who she's beholden to more than anybody else right now? One person. Bernie. And you know who Bernie's beholden to? Us. That's the thing. He says, I'm your rep. I'm taking all of your, I'm going in. And now Hillary knows she's beholden to Bernie. Can you do a rally for me? I'm losing. Why am I 50 points behind? Because you are you, Hillary. Bernie's going to have to do a lot of song and dance to help your ass out. You owe him big. You know? And that means you owe us.
And as I was saying to you earlier, John, is I see a lot of people now still on social media, even in chat or whatever, who need to somehow remind everybody that Bernie sold us out. He let us down. And it's like, no.
Right.
He did exactly what he said he was going to do. And this is the smart thing for him to be doing right now. If he wants to keep the power that he does have in the Senate, in the committees that he's on, and that's what they threatened to take away if he did not play the game. It's a long game. He did not betray us. He has been as truthful as anyone I could ever imagine in politics. But he doesn't need to necessarily show us all his cards. So that for the people who say, why isn't Bernie telling us what he's doing? He can't.
Right.
He trusts us to be smart enough to figure this out. He's told us in code enough times that this is a long game. It's not just about an election. That's why we're not really focusing much. If people want us to focus on this presidential election, they're not going to find as much of that in this show because we have a longer view. And,
right.
Right. And we're looking for all kinds of different ways, and I think that is a good segue to the next slide.
It is, except people are asking, I see people in comments asking if I have a Donald Trump impersonation.
Oh, well, okay.
I don't. Trump is hard to do, and I haven't. I can't even. I can't make my mouth look like the asshole that his mouth is. He's got this asshole mouth, and I can't do it. When I want to impersonate,
you've got good hair. He did evidently do an incredible. Oh, okay. I want you to do this. I see what you're doing here. Alec Baldwin did a really good job of doing him on Saturday Night Live last night.
Oh, really?
I haven't had a chance to go look at it yet.
Oh, great! I bet Alec.
He evidently did it quite well.
This is when I need a Trump. When I need to sound Trump, this is where I go. TrumpDonald.org, everybody. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but here's how this works. You can move the horn around, and then you just. Whenever you're pissed off at Donald Trump, okay, and you're just like, God damn, will that guy shut his pie hole? He's such a piece of shit. Just go here. Oh shit! I clicked it. Sorry.
Okay.
I like that one. Yeah. And you know he would be loving this. I love it. People do what they want with my hair.
Thank you. I needed that.
Yes. Trump Donald. It's and the only place for you guys to get a good laugh. All right. Where are we at? What's next?
Your dad.
My dad. Yeah. We are gonna have Bill Nye is gonna bring us back to reality again with a climate piece if we have time. We're down to like I got 18 minutes. We're gonna talk about my dad. Give me 1 second here, everybody. This is Our Revolution Continues. Did I actually pull up the Our Revolution Continues slide?
Yeah, you did.
Our Revolution Continues, everybody. And it continues with a couple things going on, but this is happening. As my dad wrote this article, Active Citizenship. Active Citizenship is badass. And Longmont, Colorado is kind of like this amazing place where they're actually practicing democracy. It's really bizarre what's going on there. They have a very progressive community, a very active community, multicultural community, and it's where peace officer, chief of public safety, Mike Butler, has been working restorative justice and walking the neighborhoods for 2.5 years. And it's obvious that it's so obvious when you go there that it's a thriving, peaceful community. Now, don't get me wrong. They got their problems. Right? Longmont's got their problems like every community. They got stuff going on. They got problems with this, that, and the other. There is no perfect place. Right? There's always going to be something going on. Human beings are not perfect. There is no perfect city. But my dad wrote this article. Go to the link. Check it out. It's in the Longmont Times Call. And this is talking about active citizenship. And it's got little quotes and pieces from Mike Butler and Dan Benavides and others. It's talking about what you can do. And the biggest thing that all of these people do is go get involved somewhere in anything in your community. Doesn't matter what it is. Bingo night, poker night, political night. Doesn't matter what you do. Go get involved in something that involves other members of your community so that you're having a conversation. We have been siloed, isolated for so long that we really don't know each other as communities. And that's what the bottom line is on this. You want to take an active role in your community? Start by going out and meeting people in your community anywhere. Right? And then get involved with something a little heavier if you want. Politics, something going on with the PTA, whatever. It doesn't matter. That's just start there with having a conversation. That's kind of where my dad was going with that. Also, what we got going on with this? What is this? This ballot.
Oh, the next slide?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Our Revolution sent out today. These are amendments and propositions that are on ballots right now. They're on the ballot, but under the radar is the way they put it. These are 6 really progressive amendments. Colorado Amendment 69, which would do universal health care.
Okay.
California Proposition 61, which would lower prescription prices. It's an anti-big pharma thing. California Prop 62 to abolish the death penalty. California Prop 59 overturned Citizens United. Alaska Measure 1, which would be automatic voter registration. And Washington State Initiative 735 overturned Citizen United. So these are all propositions that are upholding Bernie's planks and in their own way, so that each one would be a victory for the political revolution if they passed. So we want to keep you abreast of these as well as Bernie passed.
That's fantastic. Thank you. That's great. Those are wonderful things. See, this is progressive stuff being moved through state legislation, and these changes will have effect. This is how it happens, right? This is how it happens. These things happen at the state level. Eventually, they'll happen at the federal level. Right? We want to overturn Citizens United. This is how we do it.
And if they pass and they become a model for another state to pick it up, okay, that state so it's a domino effect, right?
We saw that with
the more progressive states introduce it, and then it moves through. We were talking about how California might finally legalize marijuana this year because they can see the ka-ching coming, from Colorado and Washington. So slowly.
Exactly. So I'm looking at comments here, and I'm seeing Eco Sutra saying that Trump is going to win. I don't think so. If you take the votes out of the equation, his rigged system is not as powerful as the Democratic rigged system at this point. So our cheating beats their cheating. There's no way.
Yeah, he might. I mean, he might win the popular vote, just like Jill might get more votes than Hillary. But it's been preordained. And I didn't pull this article because I don't know that it's a credible source. I read about someone finding huge boxes of pre-marked general election ballots, all for Hillary, and all pre-filled out in a warehouse somewhere. And they showed a picture of it. And again, I don't have a second source. Somebody already found some pre-filled out ballots in Ohio? Iowa. I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Surprise me. It's going to be a battle of the cheaters. We know that.
Yeah. So again, if it were a fair election, we might have something to worry about. As it's not a fair election, so we've got something to worry about.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's do something. Let's look ahead to something big and something hopeful, because this thing you're about to bring up is amazing.
So I'll bring this up, and then we'll come back down to earth with Bill Nye. We've got about 12 minutes left, which is cool. This is Elon Musk. I'm a big fan of Elon Musk because he thinks big, and he's doing the kind of stuff that I expected leaders of industry to do in the 21st century. He's going to colonize Mars. He's created Solar City. He's created Tesla. He's created the Powerwall. Right? This guy's thinking like I was hoping all business leaders would be thinking right now. Unfortunately, we have a very few. And this guy, he's the lead designer, the CEO, founder of SpaceX. He's got a permanent, self-sustaining human presence on Mars. We're going to watch the video because it's really inspiring. It's a really cool video.
Turn up the sound too. The sound of it is incredible. I've watched this like 3 or 4 times now, and it's just hypnotic.
Yeah, it reminds me of a cutscene from like a really good space game. Guys, I don't know if any of you ever played like Homeworld, Homeworld 2, that kind of thing. That's how good this is. Give me a minute to get this set up, and we're going to run through this. And we've got 2 more videos. I told you, popcorn, get set. There's a lot of video stuff going on. There we go. Okay, here we go. SpaceX, Elon Musk, thinking big about going to Mars, and something we as a nation should have been doing a long time ago. We were too busy warring around.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry, I was too busy watching.
So the one thing I wanted to mention, I dropped a link in chat about his entire hour and a half presentation where he introduces this video, but he was wanted to make sure that people realize this is not an artist's interpretation of what it could be like. These are all from their design CAD drawings of what it will be like, and that they can't do it. So it's I encourage people to go back and watch that again, and really, because the whole process is just very elegant, and then having that booster coming back to the launch pad, and he says it'll probably do that several times to load up the payload, because they send the capsule out there, and then they take the payload and transfer the payload over when it's in orbit.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing stuff. It's what I expect of 21st century space. Exploration, and so I love it. There's a lot of comments about, well, can't we save the Earth first? I absolutely agree with you there, and there's also a lot of comments about the propellant being used, and why isn't Elon Musk working on that stuff at home? You guys must not know what he does. Let's just clarify here. Elon Musk, Solar City, right? Tesla, which is an electric-driven car. He built the Gigafactory. He's got the Powerwall. And he just announced on August 9th that he was doing the solar rooftops. 5 million homes fitted with solar shingles. Solar City is now producing solar rooftops. So in terms of what he's trying to do, he's trying to democratize power. And he's fighting our corrupt government every step of the way. If our government were actually on board with this, we would have nationalized it, invested in it, just cranked it out. We'd be done. We'd be done. But Warren Buffett is more interested in making money off oil in Nevada than off renewables, because he knows that cuts his money train. Right? Just lost a whole bunch of money too. Forget where it's from. Just lost it. Anyway, that's Elon Musk is doing more for renewable energy for the United States of America than the United States of America. Our country is doing shit. Elon Musk is doing shit tons. Right? Let's just clarify that as far as somebody actually doing something good. And I commend him all the way. I'd love to work for him. Yeah. I'd love to work for him. I think he's a great guy. I think he's exactly the example we need for other leaders of industry, real stewards of industry, instead of greedy bastards, is what we have mostly. But inspiring. What?
He made an emphasis in his presentation, too, about how people would be chosen, because you can only send up 100 people at a time.
Right.
And the idea being that if people really wanted to go colonize on Mars, he would make it like the cost of investing in a home or something like that. So it'd be like, $200,000 or something like that, which, when you think about how, what people could monetize as, it'll cost you millions, but the idea being that it would be really for people who want to be pioneers. And with that same kind of covered wagon type of mentality, only, fast forward a couple ideas.
Right. And I think that's fantastic. I think that's, I do it. I do it. Plus, you can go back. That's the other thing. He said it's going to be, one of the advantages. I was reading the article for. One of the advantages is the fact that you can say, I want to go home. I want to return. Or I want, every couple of years or whatever. I think that's fantastic. I do agree, though, that we need to focus on the Earth first. We need to save this place, and Elon is working on that. Our government needs to work a hell of a lot harder on that, and it's our job to make our government realize that. That's what Bill McKibben was talking about, the public pressure, the running for office, putting real people that give a shit in positions of power, right? Forcing puppets that we have no choice but to work with, Hillary Clinton, into doing what we say by making Congress our people, not hers. Right? We're at 10:58. We're going to play the Bill Nye clip, because this brings us all back down to reality, folks. We've got one planet right now. We can't all move to Mars. There's no way, even if Elon got it all done in his very, very aggressive, and he did say this too, he said the timetable is super aggressive. It's, on the verge of being unrealistic, but we're going to do our best. Right? So don't be thinking, that we're just all going to get out of here and leave this place trashed. We got to fix this place first. Here's Bill Nye to bring us back down to reality.
If you're a car, we're headed for a cliff. First thing is take your foot off the accelerator. I'm Bill Nye, the Science Guy. Everybody, the science of climate change is settled. The science is real. We have a small cadre of climate change deniers, and they have been very good at their jobs. Introducing the idea that scientific uncertainty, something like plus or minus 2%, is the same as plus or minus 100%. About doubt about the whole thing. The climate is changing whether you are progressive or conservative. This is not red or blue. This is happening to everybody. So what do you want to do about climate change? I understand it's very reasonable. You could run in circles screaming. Generally, it's not especially effective. There is so much extra carbon dioxide put in the air so quickly that a certain amount of climate change is baked in, unintended. However, the sooner we get to work on addressing these issues, the better life's going to be for everybody. We got to work the problem from both ends. We have to do more with less, be less inefficient, and we have to produce electricity renewably. There is enough wind energy and solar energy falling in North America, that you could power the whole place renewably right now if you just decided to do it. If you just decided to revolutionize the infrastructure, the way we distribute electricity. What we want to do, by the way, is electrify all ground transportation. We want all buses, trucks, trains, and cars to be electric. Can I just talk briefly then, yes, about regulation? Regulation. If we had a tax on carbon, this would enable the free market to address climate change. If you make extra carbon, you pay more fee. If you reduce your carbon, you pay less fee. So here's what I say to those of you who think it just can't possibly be done. Oh, we just can't solve this global problem. Oh, I've done things the old way for 2.5 centuries, and I just can't bring myself. Okay, here's what I say. Individuals can do a lot. The big thing you can do as an individual is vote. You have to vote with the environment in mind. This is not like, oh, I don't know. We can do this, people. We have historic precedent. You can't leave the Earth. I know there's some romantic notion that you're going to live on Mars. No. You can't go live on Mars. This is it. This is where we're going to live, here on the Earth. We're all in this together. So let's go, people. We can do this. What?
All right.
Do
that
this.
was what?
Let's do this.
Yeah, we can do this, people. And Bill Nye says everything except for you're gonna die if you don't. Yeah. You know, that really is what it comes down to. The planet's not going to be habitable if we continue the way we're going in my lifetime, in your lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
That sucks. But we can't. What I love is when he says we can put, if we wanted everything to be green right now in the United States of America, could be, and for the cost way less of any one of our recent wars. Probably for less than the cost of a handful of F-35s. Yeah. My guess. Anything costs less than that. You could buy my own son, probably. We could construct one. I don't know. What do you guys think? And somebody said, yeah, the weather on Mars is better. Yeah, terraforming, we don't even know how to do that yet. Well, actually, we do just by accident. We're terraforming right now. We know how to terraform and make things hotter. You know, so we go do that on Mars. That's the irony. In order to make Mars habitable, we literally would do what we've been doing on the Earth on Mars. That's how to do it. And then we'd have to stop. That's the other thing. We'd have to stop. It'd be like chain smoking for decades, then stop. Anyway, that's Bill Nye. It's 11:03.
Let's run through the upcoming events and then we're pretty much done.
Oh, yeah, we've got coming up. I'm sorry, I forgot about those upcoming events. Hang on, everybody. We're almost done. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for staying around, having this conversation with us on Sunday. Where to go? Upcoming events. Here we are. Let me get these squared up. October live stream events. October 3rd, Bernie rally. No, not happening.
Oh, it's not?
Not happening. We thought, but nope. They said they're rescheduling. It was too soon. I'm not sure what's going on. I wish Scott were here because he was the one in correspondence. We thought there might have been something happening. There may be something happening, but Bernie will not be there, and so we will not be there either.
Well, there was 3 different events that he was scheduled for in Iowa tomorrow.
Right. Okay. Anyway, we're not doing any of them.
Okay. Never mind.
Yeah,
Next.
we're doing anything. We're just. So October 6th is the first one with Scott that I keep picking the wrong date for. It's the 6th of October. It's the Stop the TPP rally. It's in Des Moines, Iowa. Scott will be there with Live You Solo. And we will have a great interview with Larry Cohen, which we've been setting up for a while now anyway, so that'll be great to have that interview, and probably some other people that are there. So join us for that. And October 15th and 16th is From Privilege to Promise. I know we'll be capturing at least one day, if not both. We'll be capturing one of the breakout sessions, but there's a guy named Lee Moon Wah who'll be doing the main key point presentation, and there's a couple other people that are involved with this. My dad is speaking at that, and Chief Mike Butler, and Dan Benavidez, and so it's going to be a really, really awesome event. You guys join us for that. And then October 30th, Josh Fox, Climate Revolution, Des Moines, Iowa. I know there's some, there was some confusion about whether that was in one place or another, right?
No, this is the Climate Revolution one. Josh Fox has his own tour going on, which has different dates.
Okay.
So, and you might notice, folks, that these are all in Des Moines, Iowa, because that's where Scott is with our live stream unit. So he's catching things as they go through.
Right.
But keep in mind that if there are other events, other places that you want live streamed, we can ship the solo to you and have you bring them to us. So don't forget that. Exactly.
You know, that's what we want to do. That's what we're here for. That's why we have the Live You Solos, to bring these events. Remember, the slideshow, Sundays, 9 a.m. Pacific and Eastern. Suggest a slide, hashtag the slideshow, at Bernie 2016 TV for us on Twitter, and, go to the slides.politicalrevolution.tv and put in long statements. We'll review those. I'll start pushing some of those out on social. Thank you.
That's a good place to suggest topics, too. The comment thing is kind of an all-purpose communicating tool.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put a link back in here again. This is the comment form. This is the most direct way to comment, either to suggest a slide or to comment on the slides that are coming up in the next, or just to say hi.
There you go. Thank you. So that's in the YouTube chat there, everybody. And thank you to our broadcast partners, LiveView, Reader Supported News, Switchboard Live, and our news gleaners, Rose Toast, Jupiter Judy, Laura Live and Good, Lynn Vermont, Purple Tulip. This has been the slideshow, everybody. I'm going to go out with one of my faves, which is We Were All Connected, Melody Sheep, and it's been around. It's been around since 2009. I remember seeing it back then and just thinking this was amazing. But it really brings it home to the truth of the matter, right? And we've only got one place. We need to fix that place fast. We need a climate mobilization. We need to clean out our government in order to get that mobilization happening. But the public pressure that we're putting on right now in places like the Dakota Access Pipeline protests, and you've got kids suing the government based on the environment, the status of the environment, and the pressure we're putting on fossil fuel companies to stop. That cannot stop. We have to continue to do this until we have a government that acknowledges that green energy is the only way to go to save the planet. We all know this. The scientists know this. That's where it's at. We will see you next week, and I will be pushing out clips of this during the week. And new slides are added every day. Monday, Tuesday, you guys, I'll be posting that to Twitter. Go look at the slides. Go take a look at the articles so we can give credit where credit's due, and we can have a better conversation. Am I forgetting anything else, Laura?
No, I think you covered it. Put on the slide for Symphony of Science stuff. That's because it's pretty.
Oh, yeah, you made a slide. Yeah. I forgot about that. It's a nice slide for it. Symphony of Science is awesome, and I don't know, I wanted to be a physicist until I realized that I just didn't have the brain for the math. It's just, the physics math is insane. It's just crazy. It's a lot of work. And one of the guys that's in here is Feynman, Richard Feynman. He's the guy playing the bongo. That's a quote from Carl Sagan, but the guy playing the drum at the beginning of this is Richard Feynman. And if if you're interested in science, if you're interested in physics at all, go find the Feynman series on physics, done 1962, 1963. I don't believe there's any video footage. This was all done at Caltech, and it's audio tapes. this is, I mean, there's some stuff in there that's amazing because it's right in the space race with the Russians, and just listening to how he describes physics and what's being discovered then. You hear the passion in his voice, just like you hear the passion in Bill Nye and the passion in Neil deGrasse Tyson and other great scientists as they just really want to profess the amazing beauty and incredible nature of nature. Right? These are the pursuits of a civilized nation, not war for profit. You know, it's time we evolve because we're all connected, and there's really no reason to be fighting each other. Peace, everybody.
Peace. Thanks, everybody.
All connected to each other, biological, to the earth, chemical, to the rest of the universe. I think nature's imagination is so much greater than man. He's never gonna let us. We live in a between universe where things change alright, but according to patterns, or as we call them, laws of nature. Standing on a planet, really I'm just a speck compared with a star. The planet is just another speck. To think about all of us, to think about the vast emptiness of space, billions and billions of stars, billions and billions of specks. Living things like the atoms that go in through, those atoms are put together. The cosmos is also within us. For me, trust your way. The cosmos, though it's all across the sea of space, the stars are the sun. We've traveled this way before, and there is much to be learned. We're all connected to each other, biological, to the earth, chemical, rest of the universe. Trying to elevate flexibility to discover the universe, which permits the evolution of molecular machines as intricate and subtle as we. I know the molecules in my body are traceable phenomena in the cosmos that makes me want to grab you from the street. Same thing with heretics. You living things like the atoms that go in through. Those atoms are put together. The cosmos is also within us. For me, trust your way. The cosmos, though it's all. And it's all really there, really there. But you gotta stop and think about the complexity, really get the time. It's all really there, really there. You can see to think about all of this, to think about the vast emptiness of space, billions and billions of stars, billions and billions of specks. Living things like the atoms that go in through, those atoms are put together. The cosmos is also within us. For me, trust your way. The cosmos, though it's all across the sea of space, the stars are the sun. We've traveled this way before, and there is much to be learned.